Hello, everyone, and welcome to MUPO and Friends.
We are Jessilyn Perrson,
And I'm Michele MUPO,
and we're brought to you by MUPO TV.
and you can catch all our shows at www.mupoentertainment.com.
And you can also live chat with us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel during the premiere of each episode.
That's right. Stay tuned Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, because you never know who's going to be in the chat.
That's so true. Thank you for tuning into our show where we love bringing you awesome celebrities and entrepreneurs you want to know. So, Michele, did you have a MUPO awesome week?
I did have a MUPO awesome week. Did you have a MUPO awesome week?
I always have a MUPO awesome week.
Right on. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest.
Welcome back to MUPO and Friends. Our special guest today is an actor of both big and small screen, producer, writer, and one of the most famous environmentalists in the country. His decade-long acting career has included roles in the iconic Mary Hartman and Saint Elsewhere, Arrested Development, Bless This Mess, and Better Call Saul, as well as films A Mighty Wind and the Ghostbusters reboot. Currently in the recurring role of Dr. Linkletter on Young Sheldon, he's taken his career way beyond acting to being one of the most influential green trendsetters in the US. Living green since long before it was popular, he's created a line of eco-friendly products that perform as well or better than their corresponding non-green alternatives, and he's on a mission to better the planet. Please welcome Ed Begley Jr. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. It's an honor. And you know, it's great because I know you said that once that your father was an environmentalist without even ever using that word. How did your father influence you in the area of that conversation?
I want to do what my father did. It was that era. I grew up in the 50s and early 60s, just wanted to do what dad did. So if he had been a plumber, I'd probably be fitting pipe now. But he was an actor, he did TV and films, but I was clueless about it. I just thought, why is my dad getting me a series like him? I want to get on Wagon Train or Gunsmoke. Get me a Perry Mason, one of the shows at the time. I just want to get rich and have a TV series and be famous. I didn't know anything about the work involved. My dad made it look easy, so I thought it was easy. And I went out on a few job interviews, never got any of them, of course, because I had no training. You know, you can't just be a plumber and show up in the truck one day. You have to trained for a while. So I finally took some classes and started to work in the late 60s, 1967 was my first day's work on a show called My Three Sons, a famous show in the 60s on CBS and, you know, throughout the country. It was a great thing to work as a young person, and I've been working ever since.
That's awesome. So what were the factors in choosing to develop Bagley's Earth Responsible products? And can you tell us a little about the product line?
Yeah, in 1970 got involved with the first Earth Day. So I became a vegetarian. I bought an electric car, a very primitive one. I started recycling, composting, you know, and I also, you know, started using baking soda instead of harsh cleansers and vinegar and water instead of, you know, Windex or something with ammonia. And I realized there must be a better way. I mean, that's just baking soda and ammonia. There's got to be something better. So years later, I worked with a few different people who had the ability to make clean formulas from, you know, plant-based materials. So I worked with this guy, John Watt at first. He had a wonderful formula. Then I worked with Mark Cunningham at Lab Clean. That's how I work with to this day. They have a all-purpose cleaner, you know, laundry detergent. They've got, you know, all kinds of wonderful products that work very well and they're non-toxic because you don't want your animals to be exposed to all that stuff on the floor. They're down the floor licking themselves all the time and kids are crawling on the floor and you don't want to be around it yourself. People are understandably with me out there protesting a hazardous waste site when the worst hazardous waste site is not near their home. It's in their home under the sink. all this stuff that we all buy. So I started it years ago, and it's doing very well. It sells it on Amazon. And actually, I misspoke. We don't have a laundry detergent yet, but we're working on one. But we have a dish soap and a hand soap. We have lots of other pet stain and odor remover. We've got lots of products. Just go to Amazon and type in Begley cleaning, and you'll find them.
Awesome. Now, you said that I was watching an interview with you, and you were talking about how your products are EPA certified. Can you tell us why that's important? And about the process of it, please?
Yeah, there's many different certification processes and programs. Back when I had my first line with this very nice guy, John Watt, I didn't have the money to do the EPA Design for the Environment certification. I did another certification, was very good too. But this guy, Mark Cunningham, has had this company Lab Clean for a while, and they had the, the largesse to do something like that. And the important thing is whatever certification program you get, and the EPA Design for the Environment is a very good one, you want to make sure it's third-party independent certification. You don't want to say, well, I checked it out myself and it's all clean. You know, you want to go to third-party certification. That's what we did. And it's clean stuff. And so I urge people to try it. And even if you don't buy my non-toxic cleaning products, get something, you know, buy some non-toxic cleaning product. There's other brands out there. Ours is very good. I'll put it up against any of them, but get one of them and get off all these toxic things under your sink today.
So how do you vet your products?
We, first of all, did it with Bill McDonough's Cradle to Cradle instead of Cradle to Grave. Bill McDonough's program was Cradle to Cradle. Everything should be circular, that it should circulate and things don't really ever get thrown away or downcycled. You want to have stuff have another life and another and keep living in a way. And then EPA Design for the Environment is a very rigorous program. And so, you know, but I vetted it by actually trying the products in my house and making sure that, you know, the smell test, if I could smell any solvents or anything like that, I passed that preliminary test with me doing some testing on my own. And then that independent testing verified, you know, it was a very good company and they make great stuff. So I work with them now. And just type in Google search even, Begley cleaning, and you come up with some good cleaning products.
Okay, and you're a vegan. So what led you to make that choice? And at one point in your life,
I was drawn to being a vegan. Well, at first I was just a vegetarian. You know, I'd seen some of those slaughterhouse movies that they have documentaries about the conditions. And this was back in the 60s. And when I've got to do that. So by 1970, the first Earth Day, I thought it would be a good contribution to stop eating red meat. I stopped all meat back in 1970, and I ate fish for a while and then didn't, then did, and went back and forth on that. But I'm a vegan again, and I really like it. It's a good way to eat because nowadays you can be in Anchorage, Alaska in the winter, and you can buy, you know, soy dogs and broccoli, just the way the world is. You don't have to go hunt for a bison or a seal or something to live. So nowadays it's pretty easy to be a vegan. I've been in Eastern Europe and they have vegetarianski on the menu in Prague and places you wouldn't think that have vegetarian, but they've had them for many years. So it's a lot easier. And it's a good thing because with climate change, one of the big contributors is how people eat. You know, the fork is a very dangerous weapon, as it turns out. And, you know, there's a lot of methane that's released, raising cattle and what have you, and dairy farms and all of that. So you're best to steer clear of all that stuff and eat plant-based stuff. That's, to me, very important. And of course, the conditions now in slaughterhouses and feedlots are not what they were years ago, where you have a cow just roaming the hills and had a somewhat happy life. Then you took its life and ate the meat. It's a little different. A lot of the pigs and poultry and other animals don't have much room to move at all. They're boxed in their whole life, and it's not a good way to live. So I don't want to be part of that, what I find to be negative energy of all that and that kind of pain and suffering. So that's another reason I became a vegetarian, then finally a vegan. And for my health too, I'm 72 years old and my cholesterol is super low. I'm in good health. And so I'm very grateful that I haven't had meat since 1970, been a vegetarian for many years now too.
So what are the advantages of having an electric car?
Here's the best thing I'll say about having an electric car. I happen to know for a fact you cannot make gasoline on the roof of your house. You can make electricity on the roof of your house, though, because I've been doing that since 1970. I've owned a wind turbine, part of a wind farm in California since 1985. I've owned that share of a wind farm.
Wow.
I've had solar hot water since 1985, solar electric since 1990. So we had this big oil spill there in California recently. You've heard here in California, in Orange County. It's horrible, 126,000 gallons. And it happens again and again. The ship drug its anchor across the oil line, apparently. But that sort of thing, it's like saying, I'm never going to spill again in the kitchen. I don't need to buy paper towels. It's not going to happen. Paper towels, cloth towels, anything, you're still going to spill. It's going to be a mess. So stop doing that kind of behavior. You can't handle those kind of spills. The worst energy-related accident with my form of energy, which is solar, if you didn't bolt the panel down on the roof really tight, it might fall and hit you on the head. Ow, careful with that, Ed. I think you might have broken the skin there. That's the worst energy-related accident you can have with a solar panel arrangement. So I know it works very well, and I've had it powering my house and charging my car since 1990. And there's many more people with solar nowadays. I think it's a good way to get around. And there's electric lines all over the country. It doesn't mean you have to, you don't have to run a hydrogen line for hydrogen cars. I hope they do that one day and have hydrogen vehicles too. That's wonderful. But in the meantime, we have electric lines everywhere in the country. Attach them to some chargers, make sure there's a charging infrastructure for everybody, not just people like me. I've had a Tesla now for years, and you can drive cross country anywhere in a Tesla. They got charging everywhere for Teslas. That's a no-brainer now with a Tesla. But for everybody, all these other cars, they have all these other electric cars now. There needs to be more charging for them and quick charging at that. So hopefully we'll get to that, and soon Biden has a good plan for it, and I hope they implement it.
All righty. And tell us about your reality show, Living with Ed on Bagley Street.
I so didn't want to do a reality show. This was all my wife's doing. We had our friend Joe Brutzman. He said, I want to do a show with you guys. I think it'd be funny. What's it like living with Ed, this green guy that you have to ride a bicycle to make toast? I had an electric bike. It was hooked up to a generator. So to make a point with my kids when they're quite young, I said, you want to make the electricity yourself to run the toaster, not just for my solar, but you yourself on the bicycle would ride long enough to make electricity. You want to do that this morning? My kids, they were 11 and 12 or something at the time. They're now grown. But I said, let's do it. So they got on the bike and they started riding, and it's kind of hard to ride because it takes some work to generate that kind of current. You can't make 1,700 watts for a toaster, but I have batteries, so you can make about 200 watts if you ride really hard. 200 watts is possible for a good rider. So you ride are we done yet, Dad? I want some toast. No, keep going. Are we done yet? 10 minutes. Keep going. Are we done? 50 minutes, they were sweating. I said, well, you're basically halfway there. That's how much energy it takes to make toast. So be careful with that energy. Don't ever waste it. And it takes a lot of work to make energy. And they got it. My kids now grown, 43 and 42, and they're both, environmental ninjas. They're wonderful green activist people, my grown kids. And my 22-year-old daughter is the same. And my grandkids also very concerned and active about the environment. So I feel successful that all my kids and grandkids care deeply about it because of, things that they learned when they were quite young.
That's beautiful. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Ed Begley.
Welcome back with Ed Begley. Ed, will there be another reality show in your future?
Oh boy, Michele wants one. As I said before the break, she wanted to do this. They came and did a 10-minute sizzle reel before we ever did any of those episodes of Living with Ed. They did a sizzle reel. It took all day, 12 hours. They left the house. I said, honey, find out how much it costs to do that work today. I'll pay the production company to, just destroy the digital card at this point in recording history. I said, let's just forget about it and I'll pay them for the work today. I said, why don't you just wait and look at it? They'll let them edit it and put it together, and then you decide what you want to do. And begrudgingly, I said yes. But when they put it together, the 10 minutes were not only very informative, it was very funny. I didn't count on that. It somehow made it funny. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And we did it for 3 years, my wife and I. It was a show called Living with Ed on Home and Garden, then on Planet Green. And it was not only good for for us to get that environmental message out and to make some money doing it, but millions of people, learned something from it and, got a solar oven, got a rain barrel to collect their rainwater. And I know for a fact that they did that because they'd either email me or, text me or, or write me, they'd send a tweet or something, Facebook, they let me know some details about a solar oven that you couldn't know unless you actually got one. So people actually started doing this stuff because of the show. So I was very happy with that. It was nice to make a living, do a show like that for 3 years. We made some good money doing it. But to affect people, millions of people like that, because we had nearly 1 million people every week watching the show. It was on once a week, and we had a pretty good crowd watching it. So we were very happy with the amount of people we touched.
And do you struggle? Like, were there any struggles getting your family on board Living Green? Or were they like, because I know
Michele was kind of reluctant about it, but let me be clear. Michele was kind of bait and switch about it. When we were dating, it was like, yeah, honey, I made a tofu loaf for dinner and we'll take the bus to the environmental rally. The minute after the ring went on the finger, da 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 da, give me a steak and a limo ride. Don't bother waiting up for me. Girls and I going out to a male strip club. I mean, the minute that we were married, she was like a little, she was a little more reluctant to do this stuff. I'm giving her a hard time. She ultimately did it, but she wasn't as gung ho. It took a while for me to get her to do all this stuff. And now she's a, grown independent person, of course. So she does as much as she can. And I do what I can. Between the two of us, we do a lot. And Hayden and my other kids are very, very dedicated to it. I don't have to convince them of anything. They're wonderful about it.
Tell us about your LEED Platinum home. What did it take to achieve that level of award?
I've got to credit Michele with this too, the same way I do the show. I was very happy in my house I lived in for many years before I met Michele. I've been there since 1988. And this was now 2010 or something. And she said, I need more closet space. We can't share a bathroom with a teenager anymore. It's too crazy. I said, okay, we'll do a little home improvement here. She said, no, we can't do what we need to do. We need to buy a house elsewhere and make that, I said, okay, here's what I'll do. If you can find a place with a south facing roof that has a backyard big enough to have more room to grow vegetables and a big enough backyard so I can put a rain barrel underground, 10,000 gallon, and you can find it for this price. And I wrote a price down on a piece of paper. I'll move. I went, she'll never find it. She'll never find it for the price I wrote in the piece. And within a week, she did. She found a property that had a south-facing roof, and I had more room for a rain barrel, a giant 10,000 gallon rain tank underground, and a vegetable garden. So I had to agree to it. But when we moved, we thought we could do a remodel. It turned out we had to take the house down to a vacant lot because the foundation wasn't strong enough for 2 stories. We learned after a while we had to go up to a 2nd story because there's a beautiful oak tree to the south, and you don't want to mess with a California oak or an oak tree anywhere. Any important tree, native tree like that, you want to keep it healthy and alive. Sure. So we weren't going to cut the tree down or trim it too much, the oak tree. So we needed 2 stories. Because of that, we had to take it down the house to just nothing, to a vacant lot and start from scratch. And now we have what's called a LEED Platinum home. Let me finally explain what LEED means. Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, LEED. It's like miles per gallon for a car, okay? Miles per gallon for a car, but for a home. It's that same sort of rating, the greenness of the home. They look at everything, not only the energy it will use, the energy it took to build it. How far did the materials come from? How much trash you make on site at your construction site. They look at everything in the construction and hopefully the long life of the home. And we built out of steel because I didn't want to take down any trees to make the home. So that will last hundreds and hundreds of years because no termite damage ever happens, no mold damage, no water damage, from wood. You can't catch fire with all these California fires now. I don't have to worry about my home catching fire. So it's a very safe and durable home. It's LEED Platinum. And best of all, besides being green, it's super cheap to operate. I don't have an electric bill that's much at all because I'm buying most of my energy. I'm getting most of my energy from my solar, keep my water with the solar. I grow my own food on site. I collect 10,000 gallons of rainwater and on and on. All these things I did for the environment are all good for me and my bottom line because my bills are super, super low.
And it's healthy. Definitely. So a lot of people got on the gardening train when the pandemic hit.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your garden and what you use to make it flourish?
My garden really thrived during the pandemic too, because I had lots of time to put in. I could get out there nearly every day and put some, like soapy water on it to keep the little spider mites off and to keep the aphids away. And, you can devote, if you have more time, as most people did during the pandemic, you can have a lovely garden. But long before that, I learned not only did I want to grow the food on site and save it having to be trucked in from, Chile or something, flown in and trucked in from distant lands. I wanted to save the trucking of that yard waste from being taken off my property by putting it in the garbage every week and having them truck away my leaves and grass clippings and table scraps. So you save your table scraps, you save your leaves, and you save your, whatever else you got, brown grass or what have you. And the key to compost, because if you make your own compost, you're not having to buy plant food. The key to making compost is this. You want to have half brown and half green. Brown is brown leaves, brown grass clippings, brown sawdust, let's say. That's brown. Green are green leaves, green grass clippings, green table scraps. Half brown and half green. Put it in a container to keep the, rats or anything away. And you keep it moist, but not soaking wet. Perfect compost every time. And if we want to get it fired up or start it really cooking, like you would start like a good yogurt with acidophilus, you start it with a shovel full of horse manure. You go down to a pony ride or what have you, or a stable nearby. There's some here in LA near me. And I say, can I have some of your horse manure? Please take as much as you can carry. They want to get it off site too. They pay to have it taken away. So I come and get a shovel full of horse manure for each compost container, and it gets it fired up right away and cooking. It gets it hot right away and brings it to life. And you'll have real good compost in just about 4 or 5 weeks.
Wow. Well, you followed in your father's footsteps. Going into acting, you and your father both worked with other incredible artists as well. Were you influenced by anyone else?
I was greatly influenced by my father. He was a wonderful actor and he had these friends. I didn't get it at the time. We would go visit this couple and I was always bored to go there. This guy, Paul, and his wife's name was Bella. The man actually was an actor named Paul Muni, and he won a Tony on Broadway with my dad in a play called Inherit the Wind. So I was around people like that and Tony Randall and around Richard Kiley and these people who were great stage actors at the time and film actors. My dad became friendly with Debbie Reynolds and, he knew Carl Malden pretty well and he knew a lot of the comedy people. We used to go every, I think it was Friday night to something called the Hollywood Comedy Club. And I meet people. A guy was actually one of the Keystone Cops from old silent movie days. I met him when I was a young man. So I had that connection to silent film stars as well, which is kind of extraordinary. So I met a lot of incredible people. And over the years, I worked with David Mamet and I worked with Christopher Guest and I worked with Jack Nicholson, directing it as an actor, worked with Meryl Streep and worked with Bob Hoskins and just incredible actors. I feel so blessed to have been working 54 years in my chosen field and to still be doing it. I don't know how I got so lucky.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Oh, I know. Aging sucks. You feel wrinkly, ugly, lonely, and grumpy. But what if these were just limiting beliefs you are stuck within your mind? What if there are ways that work to achieve the youthfulness and healthy life you always dreamed of? Welcome to my Anti-Aging Method TV show, a show for driven people who want real results to hack their age and change their life from this day forward. Premiered by MUPO Entertainment every Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we're back with Ed Begley. And Ed, you have an amazing body of work. Has there been a particular moment where you felt most proud of your a particular project that you did?
Before I ever started the movie, before I started filming it, the first day of rehearsal, to be in a room with Meryl Streep and to be working on that movie She Devil, I just thought I'd died and gone to heaven, because she's the greatest actress we have living today. And I was so impressed with her in rehearsal and in every way, and everything she'd done on screen before and after, and her activism. She helped get Allard, banned from orchards. They were using it to make apples look prettier. And it was, why put a chemical on your apples just to make them look pretty? Have them look how they look, and I'll buy them. And so she was just amazing. And the first time I met Jack Nicholson at the Troubadour Club in Los Angeles, I was very smitten with him. And I got to know him through my friend Harry Gittes and my friend Cass Elliott from the Mamas and the Papas. I knew Cass Elliott, and she brought me up to actually meet Jack Nicholson up at his house and have dinner. I was like so smitten with him, and we got to be friends, and he put me in a movie, Going South, and he's been a good friend these many years. So I just feel blessed to know these people. And Jeff Goldblum is one of my best friends in the world. And I, see him regularly, and we lived in the same apartment building for a while. We've been friends for many, many years. And my comedy partner for years was Michael Richards, played Kramer on Seinfeld. And so I really studied with him, because he was a brilliant physical comedian, even back in the college days. So I learned a lot about physical comedy and every bit of comedy from Michael. And, I've just been very, very lucky to work with talented, funny people. And Chris Guest, I did all those wonderful movies with Chris, and Fred Willard was a dear friend. And, I don't know how I got so lucky, but I seem to still be getting jobs like Better Call Saul and Young Sheldon and Arrested Development. I've been on that quite a bit. And I had a show called Bless This Mess with the incredible Pam Grier, written by the unbelievable Liz Merriweather and starring Lake Bell and Dax Shepard. I just keep getting these great jobs, and I don't know how I get them, but I just show up, pretend I'm worthy.
So what do you attribute the longevity of your acting career to?
I realized fairly early on, I started to see some incredible work. People like Daniel Day-Lewis were doing things that I just didn't understand how he did them, the kind of transformation in My Left Foot and other movies that he did. And Meryl Streep, when she was in Sophie's Choice and The French Lieutenant's Woman and Out of Africa. How do people, Joaquin Phoenix, how do they make these transformations? And I went, I'm never going to be able to do that. I do what I do to a certain level. I become a character and do my level of work, and it seems to be acceptable. So seeing that, I went, besides doing the best work, I'm going to also make it easy on the production company by always showing up on time, knowing my lines, and trying to help every department, to be friendly with every department. Lighting needs you to do this to make their job easier. Do it if you can. Audio, sound crew needs you to speak a little louder because of this. You do it if the character merits it, et cetera, to just try to help every department. Show up early, know your lines, make things easy on the producers and the director and the writers. And that's what I do. I try to be a good employee, and I have since 1967. That's probably why I'm still working. Not talent, I can promise you. It's luck and showing up on time.
You have talent. And I was born in 1967. And one of my favorite
I love it.
shows.
So much. My three sons. Yeah.
But I used to watch it. I had no other choice to watch it. And I wound up loving it, because I had an older brother and he was obsessed with it. So, I mean, the talent, you can see the talent from, being young to, to aging and everything else is just, you have talent. Like, you're a one taker. You can just tell. And, for those of you, like, I know that your public awareness, with the environment has changed over the years. Are you going to try to do another show to bring that back? Because I really think you should. The people need to change because the world is changing and it's getting worse. And I think you can make it better.
Well, thank you for that. My wife is trying every day and has since 2009, when Living with Ed went off the air, when Planet Green went off the air. there became a diminished interest in environmental matters in 2009. So Planet Green went away. My wife is every day trying to get another reality show, a green show going, and I hope she does it. I try to be of help in any way I can, but we have to do something. You know, Greta Thunberg and everything that she did really affected me deeply. So I decided to do more. I went, what more could I do? I live in an elite platinum home. Must be something. Wait a minute, look right there. There's a natural gas dryer. I got rid of that, got an electric dryer. Have a natural gas booster water heater. We have solar hot water, but sometimes it's cloudy for a few days. So a booster heater comes on. Get rid of that natural gas thing. They have a new heat pump one that's being installed in a few weeks. You know, I tried to do it. I stopped flying. I always flew, rarely, didn't fly willy-nilly, but now I haven't flown in a couple of years. It was easy during the pandemic, the early days, not to fly. Nobody was flying much anywhere. But I stopped flying before the pandemic by several months, and thereafter, I haven't been in a plane in over 2 years now, and I have no plans to fly again. I had to work in Albuquerque recently. I just drove there and back. I have to work in January in Florida. I'll drive to Florida. It's easy in a Tesla. You know, you stop and charge with that supercharger, and it's got 400-mile range. So I don't have to fly. I can drive and do something for Greta and all the people her age. I don't want them to live in a planet that's so damaged that it's not sustainable. And so that's my goal now, to do something for my grandkids and for Greta.
So why is one of the most patriotic things we can do is conserve energy?
$250 billion a year. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less than 250 billion with a B. So I hope I made that clear. 250 billion a year leaves the country with imported oil. That's a lot of money, and we should keep that. Other people, their solution to that is drill, baby, drill. That's one solution. Another solution is to switch to other, what are now very inexpensive forms of energy, which is wind and solar. And as I said, I know that wind power works. I've owned a wind turbine in the California desert since 1985. I know that solar electric works. It's been powering my house and charging my car since 1990. So this energy works. It's gotten cheaper and cheaper. Now you don't have to buy solar for your roof. You can lease it. There's many companies that'll put a solar system up on your roof and you don't have to pay anything for it. It'll cost you $100 a month for the solar lease, but you save $120 a month on your electric bill. So you're making $20 a month in your sleep, you know, without putting any cash down. And that's very possible today. So a lot of people are doing solar because of that. And I think we need to switch to alternative forms of energy. We won't have so many spills. We won't have so much challenge with climate change. We have to do it all. We have to do diet. I'm not going to dictate what people eat, but I would just encourage people to voluntarily try 1 day a week, see if they like it, to have 1 day a week without meat, you know, and if they like it, do 2 days and 3, and go as far as you can and do everything that you can. And it's an interesting list that people often cite to me, the things they can't do. I can't do that. And I can't afford a Tesla. I can't afford a 9 kilowatt system on my roof. I went, dude, neither could I back in 1970 when I started. You're just starting. You don't run up Mount Everest. You get to base camp and you get acclimated and you climb only as high as you can. Not everybody's going to make it to the top. So do what you can. Can you afford a light bulb, an energy-saving light bulb? Can you afford an energy-saving thermostat? Can you afford to ride your bike if weather and fitness permit? Can you afford to take public transportation if it's available near you? Interesting list that you gave me of the things you cannot do. Heard, understood, I copy. What is a more interesting list to me of things that you can do? Do those. And if you like it, you will, because you're going to save money. If you like it, you know, you don't have to have anything to do with any party. This should be a conservative ideal to conserve energy. Yeah, if you like it, stay with it. And pretty soon you can afford a rain barrel to collect some rainwater, or a solar oven. Pretty soon, one day, maybe you can have a solar lease on your roof.
Wow. Now, what projects are you gonna are coming up next for you?
There's some I've signed an NDA I cannot talk about, an NDA for a movie and a TV show that I know you'll be very excited when they come out. Good shows, very successful shows. I'm in a movie and a TV show I cannot talk about, but I can talk about the wonderful show Young Sheldon. I'm doing that right now. I've been on that many years. since pretty much near the beginning of that show. I've been on Young Sheldon, and I did another episode of Mr. Mayor, that wonderful show with my friend Ted Danson, Mr. Mayor, that Tina Fey writes and produces. I just very lucky to do those shows and others that I'll be able to talk about soon. So I'll come back on your show and talk about them when it's time.
We would absolutely love that. And I'd actually like you to come back one day and just talk about, like, I don't know, we have to talk, we'll get Turk involved, and maybe you can answer fans that want to know about how to save on energy and change their lifestyles, because I am very intrigued with that.
Happy to talk about it anytime. This was a delight, and I would love to do it again.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back with the conclusion of our interview with Ed Begley.
Wait, you want some more?
Seriously though, you're more than welcome to use our platform for anything. We have like 40 shows. We even have a couple celebrities, not as big as you, but they're on our platform that we made when COVID happened, we made a full service digital entertainment company, because we want to change the world and have people who always wanted to be in the entertainment business but never knew how to get in it or never felt that they were good enough. We're breaking that fear, and we're getting them to do their own show, and they own it and everything. So we would love, oh my God, like I wish my father was here right now so that you can tell him to get a solar roof, because every time they come to the door and I have to answer it for them, they refuse it. They think it's going to catch the house on fire.
That's funny.
And
a lot of people are concerned about it, but we'll get through them. There's ways to cite some data that hopefully will help, and I'll happily come back on and talk about that when you want.
That'd be awesome. So whenever you're ready, Jess.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're back with Ed Begley. Ed, before we wrap things up, we have one last question. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask, and what would the answer be?
I would ask myself, have you been able to slow down and really enjoy the moments like this one right here, this moment? And the answer would be yes. I reminded myself, thanks to your good question, what would I ask myself? What's the most important thing? And the most important thing to me is to be in the moment, to be present with you here today, with both of you here today, right now, right this second. Here it comes again, this one, where I have every single thing that I need. I don't have everything that I want. There's always a quest for more, but I've learned, though, even I like to continue to climb that hill with everyone else. I have the wherewithal to take this moment and look at where I am right now today, and to enjoy the view from this level and this height, and to spend it with you, to be really engaged with you, and to live in the moment. That's what I'm able to do. That's what I would ask myself. Can I do that? And the answer is yes.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure visiting with you. Look for Ed Begley Jr. on his YouTube channel, Ed Begley Jr., as well as his other informative videos on YouTube. In Saint Elsewhere on Hulu Plus, Arrested Development on Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, Young Sheldon on CBS-TV, as well as Paramount Plus, HBO Max, and Hulu, and his upcoming film, Loop Group. You can follow, like, and subscribe to Ed on Facebook under Ed Begley Jr., at Ed_Begley_Jr. on Instagram, on Twitter at Ed Begley Jr., and at his website, BegleyLiving.com, where you can also pick up 5 tips for a sustainable lifestyle. You can purchase Begley's Earth Responsible products as well as Ed's books on Amazon.
And as always, thank you for tuning in to MUPO and Friends, courtesy of MUPO TV. And you could catch and watch every show that we have and others on www.mupotv.com.
This is Jessilyn Perrson with our host, Michele MUPO. Until next time.
Have a MUPO awesome week.